Welcome everyone to the Orchestral Tools 2025 Keynote event here from Berlin. You have just seen our past releases of this year, and I think they're really great releases that we have put out this year. But the largest release is still outstanding, yeah?
Yeah, we're going to keep you on tenterhooks for a little longer as well. Before we do go to the big release, let's talk a little bit about 2025, because it was a really good year. We had some really good releases. Personal highlights for you, Jan. What was your favorite release of this year?
One of my favorite is Corvin. I think it's just, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, to be honest. I'm too chicken for this, but I really enjoyed the production of the library because Mark was a super committed and easy collaboration partner. And I think the product turned out great. I also love the marketing you guys did. So yeah, it's a great product.
Yeah, a friend of mine who brought me to the Omen, to the last Omen movie that got released, I think in the previous year.
Yeah.
And normally I don't watch horror movies either, but the soundtrack is pretty cool. And I thought like, oh wow, the choirs and the effect, the textures and stuff. And then later on the credits I read, Mark Corvin.
Yeah.
And at this time we were talking about this collection, and I thought like, oh wow, that's an honor, yeah.
Mark is super respected in that scene. Yeah. So it was an honor for us, yeah.
What about you? What was your favorite release of the year, do you think?
It's really hard because we had a lot of really cool stuff. And also I will have to say, we never had so many collaborations in one year like past year, and also super well-respected people that I'm very honored to work with. And obviously because I'm, when I started writing film music or starting to compose and stuff, I was a big fan of James Newton Howard, and doing his personal grand piano is a super emotional project for me. It was kind of a really, also for my personal career, kind of a peak point. Yeah. So the James Newton Howard grand, and I'm super happy that this one also turned out so well. It's very nice to play, and it delivers this cinematic, emotional grand piano tone instantly. And this is what I like. So it's in my template, it's my first go-to piano, actually, the James Newton Howard grand. And the good thing is it's not too big, because it's also sometimes with those kind of piano libraries, if they are too large, you wait forever for loading. Not with the James Newton Howard grand, and you get this emotional quality straight away. So this is my highlight. What's about you, Graham?
Thank you for asking, Hendrik. I would have chosen Corvin, I think, but it's a tie with Tides, which wasn't an intentional pun. Tides was just, I think, product-wise, we got it absolutely spot on. The instrument ensembles, the choice of instruments, the quality of the recordings, but also just collaborating with Rachel Portman is a big deal. And I will never forget that day when we met her in Teldex. It was just absolutely inspiring. It was really cool. So I think it has been a good year. It's hard to pick things out because it makes the other releases seem kind of small, which they're not. But I think if I have to choose one, it would be Tides.
Yeah. And there's also a certain aura about this library that you hear in the patches and you play them. I'm also very proud about Tides in general. Yeah.
And the other edition we made with Richard Harvey, like Cedra, that also turned out a great product. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If you're watching now live, feel free to put your personal highlights in the chat too, because we would be very curious to hear from you. Let's not keep the people waiting any longer. We've tortured you now for about 5 minutes. We're here tonight to announce the biggest product release of this year for Orchestral Tools. This release is huge. It's a really big deal for us. It's really special. Get ready. Let's watch the trailer.
We are truly excited to release Low End Orchestra. Low End Orchestra is recorded at Lyndhurst Hall at Air Studios in London, and it's focusing on very low instruments of the orchestra. We have big ensembles, big strings ensembles, cellos and basses, as well as low woodwinds down to the contrabass flutes, so very large ensembles, and brass. And it features even also sound designs and synth patches that we have processed through the hall. By fact, the inspiration came from a cinema scope effect that you know from cinema. It's like the very widescreen moments that you experience. This is the idea also that inspired us for this collection. And therefore, we have a certain symmetry on how we positioned all the different instruments in a half circle in this famous hall where so many film scores have been recorded before. This collection is also about movement. So we have captured very specific articulations where you literally hear the movement from forward to backwards, from right to left. And we captured this with very experimental mic setups that really has these kind of spatial audio qualities. So everything is about very immersive, very widescreen kind of quality. And I can't wait to show you now the patches and walk you through the library. Obviously on YouTube it's just stereo, but we have some more examples online and on YouTube where you can experience the full idea behind also the spatial audio part of Low End Orchestra. Now let's have a look into the Low End Orchestra. First of all, you will see the folder strings, woodwinds, brass, synth and sound designs. This is basically the foundation of everything. And when we open up the strings folder, you might ask, why writing for violins if you can have cellos instead? And for this, we have a 16-piece cello section, which is super nice for melody playing. And there's another one, an even bigger section out of 22 players. And these cellos are positioned in a half circle around the conductor. And the reason for these two different kind of sections is that the first section is really meant for legato, staccato, for the more standard articulations, for melody writing, and also the articulations that have the movement from front to center. While the half circle one is specifically there to have this kind of effect from left to right. And this is why we have those two different sections. You will see this in woodwinds and brass as well, where sometimes you have very similar instrumentations, but they're delivering different articulations. So don't wonder for consistency, this is a concept reason. Beyond that, we have a big section out of cellos and contrabasses playing in octaves together. This one is really massive and is a huge foundation. This is really the low end part of everything. And a full strings menu which you can use. Beyond that, when we jump into the woodwinds, you will see like flute ensembles. Here also two different ones. But for the flute, don't expect high flutes in here. We won't get higher than alto flutes. So it's more kind of the low side here as well. You can expect alto flutes playing together with bass flutes, contra alto flutes playing with contra bass flutes. The same with the clarinets. So there will be bass clarinets and contra bass clarinets and bassette horns and contra alto clarinets playing together in pairs with the contra bass clarinets and the sweet contra bassoon ensemble out of 4 players. So the woodwinds for me is a true highlight of this collection and brings so much kind of patina and character to this collection. And the brass part of it delivers a huge 10-piece brass ensemble. And here as well, it's about bass trombones, tubas, and even sousaphones that we have recorded for this collection. So again, the low part of it and very unusual sections that you very sure don't have so far in any kind of other collection that you own. Everything is very low, everything is quite big as well. And then we have the synth folder here, and this covers the basic synth waves. So there's nothing very specific or designed, but the special part of this, why this is so useful, these basic synth shapes are re-recorded through the speakers at Air Lyndhurst, and therefore we can use this to blend with the orchestral sections to make it even bolder, even more low-endy. And also this kind of material we used as well to create and deliver you sound designs. And these sound designs you can find here, and these ranges from moving soundscapes to pads, plugs and pulses, wells. So quite of a nice a collection of sound design instruments with the focus, low end, and movement XY. If you're watching live, then keep your eyes peeled for the live chat, because you can win a free copy of the Low End Orchestra tonight. And as I mentioned, the Low End Orchestra is not just the instruments in the room, it's also the mic setup. And when we click now to the mixer, then you see the huge battery of different mic signals that we have here, ranging from the regular ones that you know from other OT collections, like the Spot, Tree, AB surround mics, to the more special ones. So for example, one that I really find very, very interesting are the ribbon tree, which is this one here, which has the ribbon sound, but as a tree setup, which is amazing to have. Then we have the close front, close back. We have the back tree, which is just another option more behind. We have this immersive front, immersive back, which is great for especially Atmos. Then the LFA for the very low end sounds. And the Octa mic, this one is really spectacular. So when we listened to this in the control room at Air Studios, it simply sounded amazing how accurate the impression is that you get from the room with the movements. And then we have sound field front and back, and we mix stuff together in the mix front and the mix back. And these one are the considered mixes that you can use also for economic reasons, obviously. So now in this little walkthrough, I will just use the mix front and mix back. So then let's load the first cello A16 instrument. And let's start with the legatos. Next one, Collegno Trato. Very delicate, also with the texture that comes from the Collegno Trato playing, where the musicians really turn the bow into the other direction to have the wood directly on the strings playing. Next one is a soltasto consordino kind of wave articulation, where you hear a lot of movement inside the performance and a little bit of dynamic changes, which presses so much life into the performance and immerses you in this recording, basically. So let's have a listen. The next one is the gravity sustains that also add a lot of movement, but the other direction. Now let's switch to the other cello section, the 22-piece half-circle positioned cello section. And here's one of my favorite articulations, the Desert Shimmer. Now let's switch to the glass shimmer. Now let's have a listen to the low string sections out of contrabasses and cellos playing in octaves. Now let's move on with the woodwinds. And by the way, if you're looking for a more detailed walkthrough, check out YouTube where we'll have a full-fledged walkthrough for you, or visit orchestraltools.com to check out the product page of Flow and Orchestra. Now let's navigate to the woodwinds, and there I would like to start with the contra-alto flutes playing together with the contra-bass flutes in pairs. The next one are the singing multiphonics, where they play a steady note while they are singing a fifth above of this. That's a very special sound. The next one are the Y gravity waves, and these are basically repetitions that the musicians performed, and they are moving from the high clarinets to the low clarinets, and therefore it has a very nice and spatial effect. Now let's load in the contra alto clarinets playing together with the contra bass clarinets in pairs. And for this, the sustains expressive, where you also hear a little bit of dynamic movement and expression. Very low and airy, very, very nice. Now let's load in the low brass. And there the X gravity sustains. The next ones are the X-wing open, where you really hear like it comes from the center and spreads out for the entire section size, and therefore you have this effect from center to left, right to open this wide screen effect. So very massive sound, yeah. The next highlight of the brass section are definitely the sousaphones playing together in pairs with tubas. And for this, let's listen to the regular sustains. And the next ones are the sustains hollow. So now let's dive into some of the sound designs as well. As I mentioned before, we have basic synth sounds that you can use to blend, for example, with the low strings for additional foundation, which are very basic synth shapes that we have captured within the room of Air Studios. And from this and the source recordings, we've created some very, very nice sound designs. Let's load in the pads. Very beautiful. It's also simply, exciting to play with these patches, and they are so immersive when you play them. Not just the sound designs, but also the acoustic recordings with all the specific mics, especially when you listen through them on a multi-channel setup. It's simply a pleasure to play with the low-end orchestra. And I must say, this is one of our largest projects here at Orchestral Tools, and there are so many people involved, and I want to highlight a few of them, including here Mark Till and Philip von Hörn, as well as Alex Lamy, who came up with the concept and refined the concept. And a couple of weeks ago, Alex Lamy came to town with the Hans Zimmer concert tour. They had a concert here just across the river on the other side of the office, of the OT office, and therefore we had the opportunity to also have a little talk about the low-end orchestra, about how everything came together and the recordings and the memories that we had. So let's watch the video.
I love this picture because it makes me think it's like a pirate ship of musicians, like just going from one person at the front, leading, like being there and actually feeling it is just like, it's incredible. Like,
the seating position is really not something that you would normally do in an orchestra, right?
So it's not just low instruments, it's about redesign and about changing the landscape and the layout of the orchestra, and about the motion that comes from doing that. The choice is to add this huge weight to the orchestra and have a new orchestra as a result.
It was also kind of a nice experience recording these instruments.
Yeah, I mean, like even the flutes is a great one, because contralto flutes, I kind of knew that they existed, and I thought, okay, well, it's going to be easy, certainly in London, to find some contralto flute players and do a session with this. And no one's ever done this before. I don't think anyone's sampled contralto flute, certainly not two of them with two contrabass flutes. It turns out that no, there are no contralto flutes like anywhere. There's maybe like 4 or 5 in Europe. So we're so lucky that this amateur flute ensemble in Scotland, we have one of our players who was booked for the sessions, Carla Rees, just happens to be an honorary member of the ensemble. And so the ensemble, who would never normally rent the flutes out, would lend them to Carla. And so she then heroically drove up to Scotland by herself, picked up 2 contralto flutes, drove them back just so we can record them and sample them, which is just, I mean, it's super special.
The idea is not just to explore these instruments, which is one aspect, but the other aspect is like the miking.
It's not just the regular tree and the regular close mics, it's like way more creative mics in there that you can also utilize to like get a special sound out of the instruments.
But this is a cool picture, at least, because it shows us, you know, these sub mics that we used. The amount of low end that they do pick up is mental, really. There's no other good word, and it doesn't matter whether they were on a contrabass flute or
that's the interesting part, right? On the strings, it wasn't even that big of a difference with the low end, but like on contrabassoons and especially on flutes, it's insane how much low end they're producing.
Yeah, I think a good thing to say is like it's not a preset mix. You know, when you'll get all of these mic positions in front of you in the player, but if you have a spatial setup or an Atmos setup, you have control to push things into different depths or different kind of amounts within the space. And I think it's just really cool when you hear that effect wash over you.
When you look at the here at the room,
I mean, that explains why it sounds like it sounds, right?
It's my favorite picture. That it's just so good.
Yeah, but I actually take this one.
Rejected.
Yeah, I really like this picture.
I showed a score to a friend the other day, and he was like, "This is like a work of art. It's like a museum score."
yeah. Some of the scores are very visual.
Yeah, they're very detailed. Also, because we spent weeks on it.
Yeah, probably more months, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think we came up with some sounds and we orchestrated them, but like seeing other people taking them and manipulating them more and mangling them more, it's like very interesting to see what comes out of that.
For some, it's the main orchestra, maybe, yeah, to create an entire film score just with this. It's possible, yeah. And for others, it will be just the low-end tool that they use within a score.
Yeah.
And to have it, you know, actually put it in, say, 4 speakers and have that effect really be communicated is a real relief.
Yeah.
but it is, of course, it's more than a relief. You go through the different stages. There's a relief of, oh God, it actually worked. Yes. Yeah. But then there's, wow, this is just great. You know, like, and it's better than you anticipate, really, better than you imagine, because it's coming out with this. It's more than the sum of the parts of everyone who's working on it. It's gone from a small idea to something that's really there, and it's really cool.
So that was the low-end orchestra, and this is available now at the OT web shop. Go and check it out. The price is €549, regular price, but you're probably not surprised to hear that we have an intro offer, and the intro offer price is just €399. What's more, we've extended the intro offer period right up until the new year, so we have plenty of time to decide.
And beside the low-end orchestra, we have another big announcement to make today. It's something really fresh, really brand new, so let's watch the trailer. As you might have seen in the trailer, this is not an OT collection. This is something new. It's a new brand. It's called Foso. And we want to talk about it. And before we go into a conversation, I would love to introduce you to Adam. Adam is our head of brand here in Berlin for Foso. Adam, can you give us a little input on the overall direction of Foso? What is it? Who is it for?
I'd first like to say we're super happy that we're finally getting a chance to release this. I would say Foso as a brand is for sound exploration and experimentation. One other thing that's interesting about Foso is that it's modular by design. So you can use our presets and our instruments and stuff as we've built them, but there's also the ability to rearrange them and personalize them and customize them, make them into your own. We hope that it will be of interest to a wide variety of users, from producers to composers, from media composers to musicians, and just people using sound in creative ways.
I have the pleasure to introduce another guy to you. His name is Noah. Noah will be the community manager for Foso, and he will also soon be part of the Berlin team, but currently he's still in Montreal, so that's why he did send us a video. And in this video, Noah will show you some of the instruments of Foso, will show you some of the interfaces, and he will introduce himself, so enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Noah, and I'm a composer and sound artist based here in Montreal. I've been involved in many aspects of Foso's creation, from designing some of the instrument engines to creating instruments and now running the Foso community over on Discord. So I'm really excited to finally get to share with you a bit of what we've been working on. So first, you might be asking, what is Foso? And it's a couple things. It's our new virtual instrument platform with an ever-growing collection of curated creative instruments. And it's also a playground for you to explore building your own instruments using a vast vault of pre-mapped multi-sample sources and a bunch of creative effects processors. We essentially designed Foso to have everything you need to create the boundary-pushing music that you want to make. And most importantly, Foso is free, so you can start exploring it today. Get access to a great collection of instruments, including a frozen piano recorded deep in the forest, lo-fi tape-processed synth chords, and intimate orchestral textures. Whenever you want to delve deeper, you can subscribe to Foso Pro, get access to the entire catalog of over 100 inspiring instruments with more advanced engines and features. So after you've downloaded Foso for free from our site, load it up in your DAW, and quickly made an account, you'll be greeted with what we call the Discover page. This is the main hub for Foso, where you can explore all of the instruments on offer to figure out what suits your style that you want to download. And there's really something for everyone, so once you found something you like, you could just download it, which might take a few minutes, then load it up, and now you're ready to get started making your next track. Each instrument engine within Foso, whether it be an acoustic sequencer or chord generator, has a unique user interface with a curated set of macro controls to let you quickly and intuitively shape the sound. But for those of you that like to explore, you can go over to the advanced settings to access the full suite of parameters. When you're ready to build something of your own, you can open the grid to access our complete instrument workshop. We're really looking forward to see what you create with Foso, so I invite you to join me and this growing community of artists over on our Discord. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you there.
Foso is now available on foso.com. Feel free to check it out. It's free. Foso comes with 10 instruments, right? And there are no light instruments or so. They're really full instruments. And one of these instruments is the frozen piano we were talking about. And if you like the stuff, you can additionally go into a pro subscription, and then we offer over 100 instruments. And we will add instruments on a weekly basis, and from time to time we will also add more instrument types. So this is the start of a journey, and this is an ever-growing catalog. And yeah, we're super proud to release this now. Go check it out on foso.com.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the instruments in the Foso catalog are not just interesting instruments that we've recorded, but we've recorded them in quite interesting, unexpected places, which together create, quite a compelling instrument moving in new directions. I'd say a couple of examples of at least my favorites would be, we have one, a frozen piano instrument. And for this, we went up to the Estonian forest and we sampled a piano that had been sitting in the forest. This was part of an art project.
Yeah, it was a project by Kaupo Kikas, who reached out and told us about the project, and it sounded like an ideal opportunity to get some interesting sounds.
Yeah, the result of it really, again, was just not the piano itself, but the whole environment and the sound world that kind of was around it that we could capture, made for a very interesting instrument.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like a piano anymore, right?
Not
It's
really,
more
no,
like a
no.
textural paddish instrument, but it has a really interesting vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some would expect that it sounds very dissonant.
Yeah.
But it's the opposite of that, yeah. So it's it sounds very harmonic. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another favorite of mine would be, we did a series of instruments called Resonating Bodies, which we recorded at Berlin's Funkhaus studios. And we recorded instruments like a bass clarinet, cello, a trombone, and also a modular synth. But instead of recording the instruments themselves, we recorded how they were resonating sheets of metal and sheets of wire and such. And again, a very unique, kind of haunting, sound worldy sort of creation here, and it's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a pretty experimental result, right?
Yeah. And a last example is we have, again, a series of instruments called tape collages, where we used kind of curated source material, various stuff, and ran it through physical tape loops and manipulated them and morphed them and degraded them and broke them down. And we got a haunting sort of vibe with the sound.
It's also like they had kind of a tape loop that was span around the entire studio, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
various meters of tape. And this kind of layering of sounds come together like a painting, you know. It's really, really interesting stuff. Was also fun to play it, yeah.
There's lots of weird stuff, like undersea sonar, record, like all kinds of odd instruments that created sound in some way and then were manipulated and then built into something playable.
I think that there was one kind of device that was mostly used for looking out for whales and for
dolphins and
dolphins and stuff.
Yeah.
And it has some kind of effect that it always searches through the different frequencies, and therefore it acts like a filter. And it actually sounds also like underwater sounds. Yeah, the interface is also very interesting. That's with kind of an XY pad where you can travel through the different kind of cornerstones of sounds and mix and blend them together.
And as mentioned, all the instruments have also onboard effects that you can customize. So everything invites for experimentation, basically. Yeah.
This is all very, very new. Because it's new, we are very aware that a lot of you are going to have questions, and we've been talking to people and collecting questions for a good few weeks, months now. And we figured this was a good chance for us to address some of these questions and actually share the answers with you while we're all sitting here and while we've got you sitting in front of your screens right now. So this is like a sort of a live FAQ, and we're calling it an FFAQ for Foso. The first one is a bit of a tough question. Why is it a subscription model?
So actually Foso for us is kind of a living project. So we want to release instruments on a regular basis, and these instruments are not full-fledged products like we deliver in the orchestral tools world. Yeah, it's more kind of very dedicated, very special tools or instruments that fulfill one certain sound. And beyond that, I mean, you just talked about the possibility also that Foso is modular by design, and by this you can, as a user, you can arrange your own instruments by combining different sound sources, synth modules, DSP modules to create something new. And with the Foso subscription, users can have access to the entire sound collection of pre-mapped multisampler presets, for example, and also different other presets of other device types. Yeah, and this entire user experience would not make sense in a bought or perpetual kind of product like we do with orchestral tools. This is the reason why the subscription model in that case makes the most sense. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another question. It's also definitely a tricky one. So how does this project relate to orchestral tools?
So first of all, orchestral tools stays orchestral tools. I'm a film composer and composer by heart. Yeah, that's my thing. That's why I founded Orchestral Tools, and we just released the low-end orchestra, one of our biggest projects, the biggest of this year, and we will continue next year. So the roadmap for next year will look amazing, and we'll go next steps also with orchestral tools. And beyond that, maybe it's also a question to Adam, yeah? What Foso delivers new and what makes it different from the Orchestral Tools brand, yeah?
I would say in addition to, Orchestral Tools is very focused on film composers. I would at least see Foso being able to cast a much wider net, mostly to electronic producers that kind of want to get different types of sound into their palette.
It can be also a great addition, right, to people using orchestral tool stuff.
Of
so
course,
when they
of
have
course,
on the one
yeah.
hand the more
Yeah.
classic orchestra, and then they want to say, okay, I want to add some more experimental textural colors, whatever, or maybe I just
or
also
smaller
fun
sort
in
of,
using
yeah.
sequence stuff or so.
Yeah.
It's a great add-on, but it's a different thing, right? So
Yeah, it certainly will not take the place of the complexity and the breadth within the Orchestral Tools products, but definitely it could be an addition to it, yeah.
Is this going to replace Sign?
So no, I don't see this at the moment. Yeah, the reason for that is we have built up Sign over many years. There are so many collections, and Sign needs to deliver, a ton of mic perspectives. If you see, for example, the low-end orchestra, how many different kind of mic perspectives we have in there, and yeah, it's crazy. And this is a whole different kind of world. What we've done with Foso is an explorative new thing. It has effects on board and certain feature that makes super interesting new things. And I see definitely synergy effects, that we can use also for future orchestral tools products. There's no actual plan for this now. On the Sign side, I must say, we are currently also working on a new update, and we are constantly improving Sign and releasing new updates to this. It's a very powerful and very reliable system, and and of course new products will appear on Sign as well. So.
Okay, so I think what people are going to be asking themselves is why not release something like the Frozen Piano, which is just an example. Why not release that as an OT collection?
I mean, because the Frozen Piano is no collection, obviously. Yeah, it's one instrument that we've captured. And that makes it also very transparent what the idea is behind Foso, to have very specific instruments and a catalog that grows over time with a living idea of instrument culture and sound culture.
Okay, at this point, we don't want to go on too long. I'm sure we could talk for a very long time about it. But if you're watching out here live, feel free to ask your difficult questions or easy questions. Easy questions are also very welcome. In the chat. If you're not watching live, feel free to get in touch, write to us, find us on socials, give us the questions. We're really happy to, when people are interested, and we're happy to answer any questions that do come up. I have one last question, but it's OT related.
Absolutely.
That's
Go
okay,
ahead.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. We've just seen the low-end orchestra, which was recorded at Air Lyndhurst in London. So what's the plan with Air Studios moving forward? Can we expect more OT collections?
I mean, it's the third collection that we've recorded at Air Lyndhurst. So we've already done Monolith together with Richard Harvey that we've recorded there. Then there is the Beaufort Brass Ensemble that we've recorded there. Yes, we would love to do more. So it's like it's an exciting place. It's a different sound from where we normally record at Heldex, for example. But it's still very compatible. It blends very well with the Heldex things that we have recorded.
But we're still recording at Heldex as well.
We're still recording at Heldex.
I don't want anybody at
Heldex is our
Heldex
home.
watching this
It's
panicking
like,
right now.
No,
okay?
no.
I mean, it's the Berlin series we created, right? And it's the biggest series of our catalog, so
Good.
we don't break this.
Perfect. Please, any questions you have about the low-end orchestra, feel free. Just write to us, whether you're live in the chat or just on socials later. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, VI Control, wherever you can find orchestral tools. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
So this brings us to the end of the 2025 Orchestral Tools Keynote event. I want to thank you. Thank you for being here with us tonight for this big release of the low-end orchestra recorded at Air Studios. And if you want to find out more about the low-end orchestra, please visit our website at orchestraltools.com. You will find way more information. You get more audio demos to listen to. There's the walkthrough you can check out. And if you want to download Foso for free and also get the free instruments, then you can find this on a new website on foso.com. It's spelled FFOSSO.com. This leaves me with wishing you happy holidays and hope see you back next year. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.